Okay, so today I want to talk about power supply units. And one thing I just want to briefly mention is a year ago I did an unboxing on this power supply unit. I'm basically going to do another unboxing and a brief description of power supply units. This particular model, the C1500 Platinum, which is manufactured by NZXT, is still currently in my gaming rig, my personal computer. Today I'm going to be opening up a Montech Century 2 1050 watt ATX3. This is ATX 3.1 ready and PCI 5.1 ready. This is rated at 80 plus gold. It's Cybernetics Platinum, and it has a 10-year manufacturer's warranty. I did want to talk about power supply units briefly. One thing to note about power supply units is you do want to take into consideration quality units and reliability. So companies, manufacturers that have notable reliability on their products, such as Corsair, EVGA is probably top tier. Obviously, the NZXT, the newer NZXTs are extremely well built. Be Quiet are good. So one thing to keep in mind is look at product reviews. You kind of want to filter through those, so don't just kind of glance at them. You do want to read the reviews, because in some scenarios, particularly the reviews that are on Amazon, the people who are putting the reviews are in the wrong category. They may be leaving a review for a different product. It may be the same manufacturer but a different product line, and it may be for a SKU that had been discontinued. So you do want to filter through reviews, not just glance at them. So read them thoroughly. Montech, I have used a power supply unit from Montech before on a customer's PC. I have not had a return. I've not had a complaint about the power supply unit. So this will be my second go-around with Montech. And this will be going into a PC that I have for sale. So to unbox this unit, of course, we have the paperwork. Kind of some instructions on what to do. Most of it's not in English. Oh, there's an English page right there, sorry. Not really necessary for me. What I really care about is the warranty information in case there is any issues with this power supply unit. I do want to be able to return it. So with any modern technology of note, for the individuals who plan on purchasing and building their own stuff, you do want to understand the RMA process. Now, in order to get a successful RMA on a product, you want to kind of videograph everything, take pictures of everything, save screenshots of your purchase, make sure there's traceability of your purchase. Your serial number will need to match the serial number on the box and or the serial number on the receipt, the sales ticket, because that will be required if you want to do a return merchandise authorization, RMA. As I'm opening this, I want to say a quick thing about recycled computers. It is my recommendation to not purchase recycled computers, particularly because of power supply units. OEM power supply units in, for example, Dell's, are not what you would expect in a modern computer. If you were to purchase a Dell off the shelf that had its 2-year warranty, that power supply unit that's in that Dell may only last 2 years. So you want to keep that in mind. Electronics recycler, they may just power something on it and see if it's working and install software and make sure that it boots and everything. One of the major complaints about OEM units, particularly Dell and or HP, is the power supply units are not extremely reliable. They're also not made with versatility in mind, as in, so this is basic power supply unit cord, obviously, standard, plug-in, nothing fancy. Nothing's real fancy about this packaging. There you have your silica gel. They're actually beads. I don't know what makes it gel, but desiccant. I like that word. I don't know why. This absorbs oxygen, as far as I know, or absorbs moisture. I'm still not sure if it's oxygen or moisture, but maybe it absorbs both. I'm not sure. But it is a desiccant. I guess I could look up what a desiccant is. But back to what I was saying about OEM power supply units. They are not extremely reliable beyond their warranty period. So once that warranty period is over, expect that power supply unit to die on OEM units, and particularly focusing on recycled computers. You want to take it seriously when you're purchasing recycled computers, as in, if the seller is not offering any type of a warranty, you need to get that in writing, because it will likely fail. So here we have our 12-pin. This is the connector that's used on modern RTX cards. I won't be using this, but I do know a lot of power supply units are having issues with these cables. So we're going to look a little further into modern RTX cards as soon as I get one. You have your standard PCI cable. That's for your graphics card, your standard graphics cards. This is obviously the motherboard power cable. Molex. Oh, excuse me. This is SATA. 15-pin SATA power. I'll need one of those for a drive we're installing. Again, we have PCIe. This is your 6+2. That's 8-pin for graphics cards. Molex. Nobody uses that. Nobody uses Molex. At least hardly anyone uses Molex. Again, this is SATA. And then we have, okay, thing to keep in mind. You have 4+4. This is called the EPS power connector. This is for your CPU. Modern motherboards, some modern motherboards require 2 of these. That was a total of 16 pins, or 2 4+4 EPS CPU power connector. That's a mouthful, I know. So let's verify that this box has 2 of those. And here's the second one. EPS. You'll know by the way they look. See that double clip on top? Sorry, got the wrong side. Let me find it. Double clip, double clip. 8-pin, 4+4. So some motherboards require 2 of those, and they're quite handy. Well, that looks like all the cables. It's unboxed. So to close this video, I just want to recap kind of what I said. New power supply units. Make sure you verify your warranty. To have a warranty on a product, you must register a product digitally. Now, that is a hassle. So let me get into how that works real quick. You'll go to the website of whatever manufacturer you purchased this power supply unit from. So in this instance, let me see if I can find. Okay, so this is called MontechPC.com. So in this instance, you would go to MontechPC.com. You will set up an account. Okay, now this is the pain in the butt part. You will use your email, whatever email address you choose. You will choose a password. You will set up an account just like you would for a social media profile. And then you will register your product. You'll go to the product registry page and you will register your product. Now, I do not require my customers to register their products. I register these products, and if an issue occurs, I fulfill the warranty. I do all the paperwork. I do all the traceability stuff. I email the manufacturer and all that good stuff. RMA process is not a lot of fun, but it is necessary, especially if you want to say, for example, this power supply unit costs $110. So if it were to go belly up in someone's PC, and cross our fingers that that's the only thing that dies, I'll RMA just that. Now it's just save myself $110 on a brand new power supply unit. In the instance that the unit was struck by lightning, most of these power supply units have a failsafe. In other words, what happens is the failure occurs in the power supply unit so long as the computer was not on when it was struck by lightning, and it only destroys the power supply unit. However, in some instances, that electrostatic discharge can travel through the barrier or through the failsafe and destroy other components. If that were to happen, you'll have other components that are dead. If those components were not under manufacturer's warranty, they would in fact be dead and not recoverable. So the best way to avoid any of that stuff, and I don't want to go too far with this video, but the best way to avoid that would be to use a surge protector. Always use a surge protector. I recommend 3-phase power inhibition, and that is start out with a GFCI. I realize that's for downstream, but for your upstream issues, you want a backup. That is a uninterruptible power supply unit. Those are expensive, but they are necessary in some circumstances, and using a power strip after that. So GFCI to a UPS, uninterruptible power supply unit, to a surge protector. That is the best way to cover your hind end for in the instance of an electrical storm or thunderstorm or ESD, any type of a surge that would happen. That will not destroy your computer if you have those 3 things. Again, I realize GFCI is for downstream issues, but I do recommend having a GFCI just because of that the extra comfort that it provides. So I did want to recap the one thing I mentioned about used computers and recycled computers. Do not waste money on a recycled computer. If you're spending more than, let's say, $200 on a recycled computer, you are taking a risk. You're purchasing a computer that may or may not function. The best thing a person can do with recycled computer is salvage the components that are in it. Recycle the materials that are not salvageable, and the materials that are salvageable, then use those in other things. But the power supply units on those are notorious for failing or not lasting very long. When I say not lasting very long, I mean 6 months, a year, if you're lucky. So spending $600 to $700, $800, $900 on a recycled computer, I don't care how new it is, don't purchase a recycled computer if you're spending more than $200. It is not worth it. I want to stress that because there are people here locally who are selling recycled computers. A recycled OEM Dell, if you're getting a really good deal on it, it could be worth it. But if you're getting close to like something you would spend at in-store, remember, in-store purchases typically come with a 2 years manufacturer's warranty. It is not worth it in the long run to purchase a recycled computer. Now, on occasion, I do sell refurbished units. I do not consider them recycled units because I am a professional PC repair man. I have been dealing in computers for 11 years, been building them and fixing them for the last 11 years, and it is my profession. Well, anyway, that's all I've got for everybody today. This unit will be going into a completed build that I'll be showing tomorrow on a separate video. Be powering it on and showing it off and getting it ready for resale for the next person to enjoy. Everybody have a good day, have a good night, whatever time you're watching.